All right, let's get back to our top story now. President Trump is issuing new threats against Iran after more than 2,000 people have been killed in protests. He has urged people to keep protesting, and Iran's foreign minister has warned his country will defend itself against evil and foreign interference. That's a quote. I want to bring in CBS News contributor Joe Zacks. He's the former deputy assistant director for counterterrorism at the CIA. He is new to CBS. This is now his second appearance on CBS News. Welcome again.
Well, thank you. Good to see you again.
So let's talk about why this particular moment may look different from other recent protests that we've seen in Iran. We saw the Green protests in 2009. We saw protests in 2019. In 2022, there was a protest, the women's protest. This feels different. And I feel like the reason why is because you have a president of the United States who's actively suggesting that the U.S. may take an active role in supporting those protesters.
Well, I think you're exactly right in that respect, Vlad. First of all, I want to say that one has to really applaud the courage and the bravery of the Iranian people who are standing up to a very oppressive and brutal regime. So that needs to be recognized. It is different than 2009, 2019, and 2022, largely because this Iranian regime has created such dire economic circumstances for the Iranian people that they just cannot put up with this anymore. And I think that this regime was caught off guard by the intensity of the demonstrations that started at the end of December. And I think that they are, in fact, buoyed by the president's encouragement toward them. We'll see in which direction this goes. But I have to say that at the moment, the regime is not necessarily on the brink of falling. This is a regime that has its Praetorian Guard, the IRGC. It has its support at the moment, and they have demonstrated a willingness to exceed the violence that of 2019, which thus far had been the highest death count in response to protests. So this can get a lot uglier before it gets better.
You know, a lot of people are familiar with the Iranian government repressing women's rights, social freedoms. And you mentioned the economy is just in shambles right now. Can you expand on how bad the situation is right now in Iran in terms of inflation and even access to water?
Yeah. So excellent point. Inflation is over 40%. So it's really hurting and squeezing the populace. The currency has dropped, been devalued to historic lows, and the regime has mismanaged the water situation so dramatically that they even have been considering the need to move the capital from Tehran because of the water shortages, which are largely due to mismanagement.
Wow.
So before you go, Joe, let me just ask you about what seems to be a perfect storm happening. As Adriana points out, you have the economic situation. You've got these protesters who are demanding change. You also have, and we didn't talk about this on CBS Mornings, but given your expertise, I've got to believe that the Israelis and the Americans have assets in the country that are helping in some way. You don't have to confirm or deny,
like
but
intelligence
agents from other countries that are on the ground assisting in some capacity, or at least at the very least spying on what is happening in the country. And so the question that I had for you earlier is, what will it take for the Praetorian Guard, as you call it, the Iran Revolutionary Guard, to decide that enough is enough and turn on the clerics?
So that's an excellent question. The Praetorian Guard turning on the clerics may not necessarily be the optimal outcome in and of itself. For example, there could be activities taken to so sufficiently degrade the IRGC that they decide that for their own survival, they need to remove the clerics. And maybe what they would offer is that they take control of the governance of Iran, promise the populace elections at some point in order to quell the protests. But unless they really took concrete actions to change their interaction with the U.S., to change the direction of the Iranian regime with respect to its nuclear program and its involvement in proxy wars throughout the region and the venomous rhetoric and actions that the Iranian regime, which the IRGC has been part of, has taken against the United States and our allies in the Gulf, as well as Israel over the past few years, that may not improve the situation, neither in the region nor for the Iranian people. So the IRGC could conceptually turn on the clerics if there's enough pressure put on them, but that being the optimal outcome is not certain. But I will note that the administration also seems to have, from what I can tell, a diplomatic path, and they may be pursuing that in tandem. And I think that the administration is carefully weighing all its options, and they have a fairly robust set of options, be they diplomatic, be they non-kinetic, or be they, in fact, kinetic. And I think the president, with his advisors, will make the appropriate decisions at the appropriate times as to where to exert the maximum pressure on this Iranian regime.
In the meantime, people are still dying. I mean, we've reported 12,000 dead. That's a number from somebody that we have as a source within the country. Just a couple of days ago, we were saying 2,000.
Yeah, tragic.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Joe, great to have you. Thank you for your expert analysis and expertise. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you.